You know, they bulldozing tents on Skid Row right now. They displacing people out of our community right now. And it's the same government. It's the same government that's doing the same thing. It's the American government right here that's supporting it, right? So we saying from Skid Row to Palestine, we shall be free, right? And we shall fight. The people need to come and make the connections between the two. Make the connection on what's going on. Because you see these politicians is working in accordance with that. You know what I'm saying? We see these security guards, they're turning on. And then as soon as one of these cats shoots somebody, we already know the city gonna be on fire, right? It's gonna be on fire, right? And the people that started it ain't gonna be nowhere around. They don't remember nothing from the George Floyd rebellion last year, right? I mean, a couple of years ago when they had to board the whole city up and leave. I was just telling folks, right? This whole city was boarded up. They had lumber that was coming in from Arizona on the trains, right? Because all the businesses bought this whole city up and they left, right? And this is gonna be a repeat of that. You see that gate that they got around City Hall right now for 4th of July. It's gonna be permanently around the city, around this building right here if that motion passes, right? Because that's what it's gonna bring. We already know who they supported and who they doing it for. So we say hell no, right? Hell no. They say get back, we say. They say get back, we say. They say get back, we say. Get back.
My name is Akil. I use he, him pronouns. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. And I'm just going to tell you all a little bit about the deviousness of what they're trying to plan here today in City Council. So we all know that this is a house of evil, right? A building that's complicit in many genocides, including that of our community in Skid Row here in Palestine. We know that they have had a long history of being genocidal towards these communities. Every day, 6 people dying on the street. And we know that in the past, they have also united City Council, progressives and, actually, they're all just liberals. All the DSA ones, it's a blue council in a blue city in a blue state, and they voted unanimously to classify anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism with the IHRA definition. They voted unanimously to condemn National Students for Justice in Palestine as terrorists at UCLA when they convened. And now they're likely scheming to vote, maybe with one little exception here and there, who knows, to funnel money, state money, public money, our money, into a Zionist paramilitary made up of IDF soldiers. This is how they move. And here's what they're planning on doing. We have heard that they're considering doing a substitute motion to erase any mention of the specific organizations that are going to get the money and put it through a little bureaucratic process. This is what we call surveillance bureaucracy in Stop LAPD Spying. We have a great zine on it, the Fuck 12 zine, which talks about how they co-opt community demands to shut shit down and replace them with, they just want process, they want policies, they want more meetings, they want regulation. They're gonna have these processes overseen by Hugo Soto Martinez to potentially decide in August which organizations are gonna get the money. But let's be clear, this is money for Zionism. It doesn't matter if they tokenize some, mosques or some, gurdwaras or other religious institutions. This is money that's intended to fund the Zionist entity and the lobby here within the US that supports it and represses the Palestinian liberation movement, which is why we echo the demands from Palestinian youth movement for nobody in our community to take this money. Not only is that, that's the deviousness of what they're doing, but let's check this out. Even if all their money goes to religious institutions, who's to stop those religious institutions from then hiring the Magen Am, the Zionist militia, as their security guards? So we have to be vigilant, because this is what they're planning. This is reform in action. Because we see the way Karen Bass has ridden in as the lesser evil compared to Big Bad Caruso, and has stripped considering stripping our right to wear masks, has directly overseen the brutal repression of Palestinian liberation struggles within colleges and also at City Council just a few weeks ago. That's on Karen Bass. And now you see the reformer coming out. You see the outrage that we produce is being funneled into not only disguising this money by stripping the language away, but doubling it. Not 1 million, but 2 million. This is why at Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, we organize against reform. This is why these kinds of motions actually just make it clear what this city council is and what it wants. It's a completely illegitimate meeting. And it's a completely illegitimate council that has to cloak itself in all of these, the symbolism of grandeur. You look around, it's just a bunch of petty, cowardly servants of the ruling class here in LA.
My name is Hamid. I'm here with Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So let's talk about this building, as Akhil was saying, but let's talk about what we call the tale of two mayors. So you had the last black mayor in the 1980s, Tom Bradley, who took the step to lead Los Angeles to disinvest from South Africa. Then you have the current mayor, Karen Bass, who claims that she built her political creds on fight back against apartheid in South Africa. But what does she continue to do? She continues to keep on investing money in the Zionist apartheid state of Israel. That's what we're talking about. Let's talk about the city council. And I can give you a breakdown. So what did they do? Last December, they put a motion out that if we were going to speak about pro-Palestine, that will be considered a hate speech. And they even went to the extent, and this is the vulgarity that we are talking about, of this whole complex. This is where, we've said before, this is where violence gets legislated. That is the city attorney's office. That is where violence gets adjudicated. And that's the LAPD headquarters. That's where violence is enforced. So we are surrounded by violence. When we talk about state violence and state sanctioned violence, this is what the structures look like. This is where it's written. This is where it's enforced. So there's a lot to do today. What we want to do out here is to support our comrades who are inside. And this is our land, this is our streets. We're not going to let them stop us from taking the streets. And we want to turn this into a people's common. This is the people's street. The street belongs to the people. So what we invite everybody to do is that we're not here to be the audience, we are here to be active participants. We are here to build power. We are here to empower each other because the goal is to dismantle and abolish this system. You can't refine the system, you can't reform a system that is rotten to the core. And people tell us about the Constitution. Well, the fucking Constitution is a blueprint for oppression itself. That's right. Yeah. Like 250 years later, they're still trying to decide how much immunity does the fucking president have. Yeah. So that's the kind of bullshit that we are looking at. They're still trying to decide where women have a right over their own bodies or not. So we don't follow that shit because this belongs to the people. So I invite people to come and make a comment, please, because our voices need to be heard. So who's next?
I wrote a comment I was going to do inside, but I'm going to share it with you guys. You know, Huey Newton, founder of the Black Panthers, co-founder, he said to us, power is, first of all, the ability to define phenomena, and secondly, the ability to make these phenomena act in a desired manner. To me, this is a reference to propaganda, which we're all witnessing today. And I roll that into the sentiment that Jews are not uniquely Semitic. The Semitic people are defined by a language, not a religion. And It includes Aramaic, Arabic, and Hebrew. So when you have Jews in Nazi Germany being attacked by white supremacists and they claim anti-Semitism, they're right. That's true. And when they come to America and they get attacked by the KKK, by white supremacists, and they call anti-Semitism, this is true. But when you are a Semitic-speaking people attacking an indigenous Semitic Palestinian group, you cannot claim anti-Semitism. Period. So I would argue that the government officials and the community members who perpetrate these false definitions are the true threat to our community. They're the ones we have to be concerned about. You know, like Magen said, whether they give these people money or not, we're not backing down from this. Our fight continues every day, and our solidarity and our unity is to become the glue to grow this movement, the people's movement. Because we stand with people everywhere. We stand with the people in Palestine where they're oppressed. We stand with the people in Congo where they're oppressed. Anywhere there's imperialism, whether it's Chinese imperialism, U.S. imperialism, Russian imperialism, we're against all of that. We're for the people. And that's why it's important we show up today and we reclaim our power here on the steps of violence. Thank you.
It is something that we cannot understate. It is something that we have to understand what is really happening. What is really happening is our city government, the people that people voted into office, is deciding whether or not to support the murder of children. Like that's even something that should be up for discussion. What we are witnessing, what we are here to oppose is our city government deciding whether to send our money that we worked hard for, that they force us to pay. They are using that money to send bombs, to send dogs, to starve innocent people who are just trying to survive and just trying to hold on to what they have left of their homeland. And so I want to make sure that we're understanding this. We're understanding that this is something that is unforgivable. This is something that cannot be reconciled. This is something that we can't just overlook and say, well, on to the next issue. Those council members that vote for this today have to leave. This is their resignation. Vote.
To say no way, no how, not our tax dollars, not our money. We pay into the system. You don't own America. This is stolen land built on stolen labor. And so we say it's time for y'all to go abolish everything. Abolish the Supreme Court while you at it.
All right, folks. So this is people's comment.
In black hand, in white hands, the glass has wine, and the song that reaches
That song's for Leonard Peltier, who was denied his parole. We must send prayers, because all of this is a farce. We're here for humanity, and we're here for the people, the indigenous people in the 4 directions, and that includes Palestine.
Rodriguez, Martinez, Yaroslavsky, 14 members present and 1 different.
Thank you for shorter business.
Shame on you for not standing.
Thank you. Whoever's shouting out, I'm going to warn you only this one time. You can't have disruptions to the meeting.
To address this, the substitute motion directs all funding to the Civil and Human Rights Department for neighborhood security grants and increases the amount of funding from $1 million to $2 million. It opens up the emergency grants program to all faith-based orgs. I believe
I'm sorry, there will be no interruptions of council members as they're speaking. Council Member Yaroslavsky has the floor and she's not finished.
I believe that this is an appropriate and necessary change to ensure that all faith communities across Los Angeles are able to access these funds while also addressing the urgent need to increase security at Jewish institutions. I do want to just close by talking about why I believe this funding, regardless of the mechanism. The fear of a proxy war for what's happening in the Middle East spilling onto our streets here in LA is real. I've said this many times, but I think it's important to reiterate that everyone has a right to peaceful protest. It's the foundation of our democracy, and that right must be protected. But that doesn't mean there's a right to violence, and we all of us, deserve to feel and to be safe. And
Sergeants, I want you to help me identify whoever continues to shout out. They need to be excluded from the meeting. Councilmember Yaroslavsky has the floor. She won't be interrupted.
Thank you, Council President. This substitute motion seeks to urgently increase security services around our houses of worship and religious institutions, no matter the denomination, so that our communities are better prepared to respond to acts of violence or hate. It's a plan supported by the mayor, LAPD, and religious institutions across Los Angeles, many of whom have been forced to divert funding away from social services to security in recent months, and gaps in security still remain. It intentionally mirrors and accelerates a program announced last week by the governor that will allocate $80 million over the next 2 years for neighborhood security grants to help fund security initiatives around our religious institutions. We believe that the funds we appropriate have a high likelihood of being reimbursed by the state once their grant program opens this fall, and the guidelines to be developed by the Civil and Human Rights Department will replicate the state's grant guidelines. This money is intended as a stopgap until the state money starts flowing this fall. In closing, colleagues, I ask for your vote to substitute this new motion for the original one and to continue this item per the city attorney's guidance due to Brown Act concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And is there a second? Councilmember Bloomfield seconds. Thank you. So this is a 2-vote process because the first vote is whether to substitute, and then after that, the underlying substitute motion will be agendized at a future meeting. Is that? Am I restating? Illegal! I'm sorry, Councilmember Yaroslavsky, hold on a second. Folks, you'll have your opportunity to speak if you wish to speak at the microphone. But this is not a town hall, and there won't be shouting out and disruption of the work of the city council. I've said this multiple times. I don't want to have to say it again. People who shout out will be removed from this meeting. So please, let the council members do their work. Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
So with all due respect, we can't vote on this today and start to stand up this program. The hope is that we can mimic what the state is going to be doing later this year. The more committees we send this to, the longer this takes. I think the less safe all of our religious institutions will be over this summer. I've been in close contact with LAPD. They have serious concerns about public safety on our streets this summer. And the longer we mire this down in endless committees, the temperature is high on all sides, as you see here today. And it's high not only in here, but it's high on our streets. And our institutions are feeling that. It already has guidelines that we can just copy and paste and implement here at the city faster. But if we're... Is there any way that we can get LAPD here to tell us?
No.
On the motion to substitute.
I'm going to close debate on the motion to substitute. The motion to substitute is now before us.
8 ayes, 6 noes.
This motion is referred to
this is a war on children. I remember 2 years ago when I spoke about what happened in Sheikh Jarrah, the neighborhood in Gaza, and what happened in Al-Aqsa